Greetings, everyone. We're back today with the Science is the New Religion script. We're already on session 89. It is August the 21st, 2022. Welcome, Michael.
Yeah, welcome, Brett. Welcome, dear listeners. I'm trying to improve my English a bit, but this session 89 is the third session on the atom. Yeah, as you can see. So, we have talked about the origin of this philosophy, and we have talked about the historical events in the past, in the Middle Ages especially. And so we need to get in this session. And what did I have prepared? I have prepared the problem that many people who are studying science and going to a university face, that they just believe everything which is put out in front of them. And so that's the problem, that we have to ask everything. For example, it's just a small example here. Speed kills. Everybody knows that if you are speeding too much, then the speed will kill you. Yeah? But don't be shy and just ask, because speed kills is not correct. Because speed does not kill, according to the world-famous radio broadcaster or television presenter Jeremy Clarkson. He says, quote, "Speed has never killed anyone, suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you." And he's absolutely spot on. So that the speed is no problem, and unless you don't have any object in front of you or you don't hit a wall. But that's just that you always listen to some phrases and listen to some science, and you think they got it right because it's just a famous professor, or it's just a common knowledge, so to speak, which defines then the truth in science. But it doesn't. It simply doesn't. Yeah. Scientists believed in ether until Einstein's lies about the space being a vacuum. And the problem is that nobody can tell you what the space actually is unless they look to the Bible. But usually scientists are not in line with the Bible because they want to exalt themselves. And that is also the same problem with our atom model. Yeah, because if you would really look into the atom model here, and I have looked up a nice, decent moving picture here. Action. Action. Yeah, does look great, huh? Brett, does that remind you of something?
Yes, it does. It really does. You know
Shall
what
I
it
give a
reminds
hint?
me of? A triquetra.
Yeah, it looks like Trinity, huh? Doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and this is just a pure...
Like 666.
Yeah, that's a pure atomic model of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Yeah, this is... yeah, it's very strange, huh? That's very strange. And of course, you can't prove it. It's just a model. It's just a doctrine. It's a religion. You have to believe in that.
Yeah, well, we get to the hexagram, and then the hexagram to the cube, and then all of those interesting arguments for all these symbols. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's literally never ending, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, and you can have several explanations about that also. Yeah, so you're not limited to one. So it's all a belief system, and it just reminds me to the current situation, doesn't it? Yeah, when you got some fancy graphics.
The old V word.
Yeah, but if you have some fancy graphics, and if you then know that, can we risk to show it here on screen? I don't think so, huh? If we want to promote it on YouTube, we better avoid that strange thing which the but it's also the problem, because that electron microscopes were not invented unless the 1930s. We will go into this somewhere down the road in this series. And can you imagine, Brad, how many colors they can present, these electron microscopes?
Well, isn't that taking something beyond the range of our ability to see? So it's just a manipulation of data, more or less. But yeah.
Yeah. If you have electron microscopes, now you see I'm not using Google anymore.
Swiss cows, hey.
Yeah.
It's in Switzerland. Wasn't that reminds me of Martin Luther.
Mm-hmm. Does it?
Yeah. He's talking about the cows in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see, it was...
I forget the quote. Go ahead.
Yeah, they also got favorite chocolate in Switzerland. But then they got purple cows there officially. So they are just a famous, I think it was a Swiss chocolate maker who's promoting violet or purple cows. Yeah, you make yourself up. And maybe you got also purple rain there, I don't know. Yeah, but you see that it was developed in the 1930s, and the first electron microscope was developed in 1931. Yeah, so they can show you things that you can't see with your own eye. But according to my knowledge, and I don't know why it has not been stated here, maybe because it is an official Wikipedia article, the only color that an electron microscope can indicate is 0. Yeah? So electron microscope does only indicate black and white. That means that all your models, which you can show them, are just fancy graphics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also it's for recurrent bacterious infection. Yeah, let's just have a common view on that. Yeah, are there any black and white pictures here? So as far as I'm concerned, these are just graphics, CGI.
Right.
It's nothing more.
Right.
So you feel something which is not identical to the things that could be made visible under your electron microscope. But who knows? You see that people are just depending on people. Yeah, they're educated by people, not educated by the Bible. And we will soon have a very prominent example on that. So this is just fancy graphics here, and this is nothing else than a pagan trinity. Yeah, it's a belief system in the religion of the atomists, and this is just one of their models of electrons, neutrons, and protons. It's just simple as that. It's just a belief system, because you can't prove it with your own eyes and with your own senses. Yeah? And so that is all very valid when it comes to the theory of nuclear power. Yeah, and it's I don't want to have it very complicated. That's why I'm just using Wikipedia here, of course. Nuclear power, so they say, yeah, is the use of nuclear reactions to produce electricity. The problem is that many people do not know what electricity also is. So you're coming from one theory to explain the next theory. But back to the problem with the nuclear power. Nuclear power can be obtained from nuclear fission, nuclear decay, and nuclear fusion reactions. Do I see any color? Presently, the vast majority of electricity from nuclear power is produced by nuclear fission of uranium and plutonium in nuclear power plants. Nuclear decay processes are used in niche applications such as radioisotope thermoelectric generators in some space probes such as Voyager 2. Oh, you have to believe in NASA and science once again. So that's very interesting when you think about that. That is just a reaction of some things, but it has not necessarily the truth in it. So that is nuclear power is the use of nuclear reactions. But now I got a problem, because the explanation on Wikipedia clearly speaks about a nucleus or external subatomic particles. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. Subatomic particles? Can there be subatomic particles? Can there be subatomic particles? I I thought, oh, that is very interesting. I have to copy that link into my browser and then to get it on that. That's very interesting. We talked about that also. But in physical sciences, a subatomic particle is a particle that composes an atom. So that means that is a composite particle which is also composing of an atom. So it can also be particles who are smaller than atoms, yeah, which is against the theory.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely against the theory, because according to the standard model, it's a model, it's not the truth. Yeah, the standard model, a subatomic particle can either be a composite particle or an elementary particle which is not composed of other particles. Yeah. So, and we also know that there are particles who are smaller than atoms. And that is against their definition. And that's my problem, which I talked about, I think, the first or the second session. Yeah, it just it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, unless you get to the God's particle in CERN in Switzerland. Now, once again, Swiss cows. Not Swiss cows, but Swiss grandmas. No, this is a Russian doll, so to speak. Yeah, because an atom means in a hypothetical, so it's not visible, and it's not only invisible, but it's also indivisible. Yeah, so you can't take any part of it because it's just the smallest part. And so that if you know that there are quarks and so then you know that this is just a theory, it's just a religion, it can't be the truth, because then you have to rename the atom, because the atom means it is indivisible. Does it pronounce indivisible?
Yes, indivisible.
Indivisible. Yeah. Yeah, so you can't take any part of it because it's just the smallest thing. You can't divide it into several parts. Yeah, but there are subatomic parts, so that means there are lower parts of atoms. What I'm going to say is, it is just metaphysics. Yeah, it's just metaphysics. If you start with the wrong noun, yeah, if you start with the wrong explanation, then what do you expect? What the outcome is?
Metaphysics, from what I recall, the etymology of that, Michael, is pretty interesting. Is that what you have there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's more or less, what does it say?
A branch of speculation which deals with the first causes of things. Yeah. Meta means the works after the physics. Yeah, but we know, Brett, that is just a blatant thing of a pseudo-religion or replacement religion to get rid of God. Yeah, to get the people into materialism. Yeah, and that's a problem. You see that when I start with the atom and I know that there are no atoms because atoms can be divided, there are smaller particles, etc. Then I know that the entire theory is false. What is the real deal behind the theory of atoms? It is to get rid of God, of course. And that is very obvious if you come down to a very prime example, which we soon will approach. You see that these particles colliding, they then create some kind of a reaction. Yeah, and then you can create power, and you can use that power to gain electricity. And of course, you know, then you can heat things up and you can cool things down. You can use it for industrial purposes, etc. But they won't tell you what really is the cause of that, because the theory itself is incorrect. Yeah? Electricity means to have also the presence and motion of matter. Yeah, E equals mc square, if that would be correct, has a property of electric charge. Electricity is related to magnetism also, and that creates our next problem. You see, there are many people out there who have said there is a misconception about electricity. Yeah, it is just people who are trying to use the first idea, the first atomic idea, the first belief system, and then they come up with their explanations, like Maxwell and all the others. Yeah, but where is really the truth in it? Yeah, where is the truth in it? And what's the truth? You can't prove it with your own eyes. You have to rely on the scientists, and I won't follow any science explanation, and I will soon, very soon, tell you why. So this nuclear power, when there is a reaction, can be obtained by fission, decay, or fusion reactions.
Aha, Michael.
Yeah.
I just went in the other room and looked up metaphysic in my old ninth edition Encyclopedia Britannica. In just a few sentences, it's very interesting how the whole history of this term is described. If you don't mind, I'll just quick read it.
Yeah, I would like to show that also.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take a photo of it and send it to you. Just go ahead and keep going. Then I'll send that to you. We'll discuss that later. This is from the ninth edition Encyclopedia Britannica that I have in my home. The term metaphysic, originally intended to mark the place of a particular treatise in the collection of Aristotle's works, has, mainly owing to a misunderstanding, survived several other titles, such as, quote, first philosophy, unquote, quote, ontology, unquote, and, quote unquote, theology, which Aristotle himself used or suggested. Neoplatonic mystics interpreted it as signifying that which is not merely, quote unquote, after, but, quote unquote, beyond physics, and found in it a fit designation for a science which, as they held, could not be attained except by one who had turned his back upon the natural world. Do we need to go any further, Michael? Do we need to go any further? I remember some reference to occultism, and it just like, wait, I gotta look this up. This something's wrong about metaphysics.
Yeah, that's just their model. It's just a model and a theory, and you see, we won't get to the truth, and that's it. Yeah, so that's.
And this is history too, by the way.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's just an explanation model. It just suits also the evolution theory and the Big Bang, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just from the same source. It's just it's just matter. You only consist of matter. Yeah, you're just a bunch of atoms. Yeah, so like the carbon 666, 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6.
Bill, sorry, Michael, that they isn't that interesting that they actually are interchangeable terms, and one of the interchangeable terms is theology. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What kind of theology is that?
Yeah. Theo means God. If you would.
Yeah, that's correct.
Where am I? Yeah. If you look it up, then. Oh, come on.
Oh, you have an S. Yeah.
The science of religion. Yeah.
Yeah, the science.
From theos, God.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's theology actually means the word of God. Yeah. Logis means the word. Logos treating of theology. Yeah, but theologic. What is logic? Logic. The branch of philosophy, from Greek, the reasoning art, or the art of God, the logic of God. Logos, reason, idea, word. Yeah, that's what I told you. Yeah, so theologos, yeah, means the reason of God, the idea of God, or the word of God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I got my problem with. You see that there are just their explanations, but all their explanations are based on a false system because it's just a theory and a religion of the atomists. So if I go into nuclear fission, yeah, I don't know if that is correct because I have to rely upon their system, and their system is based upon a wrong explanation about the atoms. Yeah, so you can go on and on and on. They tell you, yeah, there's something reacting, and then occurs some kind of energy. Yeah. So when there is an accelerator and two atom parts are colliding, then it creates a certain amount of energy, and that's how these so-called nuclear power plants are working. So this is nuclear fission reaction about neutron and uranium. Yeah, but you see that it's just also a belief system, because we know that there are smaller particles. So if these atoms are creating that kind of illusion, or are particles of, or subatom particles are creating anything, I don't know. And you see that nobody can convince me, because it's just a belief system. That's my problem. You see that we can't go into every nitty-gritty of the explanation, official explanation of Wikipedia, but you can't prove anything. Yeah, because you first would have to study everything, and then you see all is based upon a false assumption that is just only matter, and it's just based upon a theology. And that's also my problem with it, because I have a very prominent example here, because it is not only nuclear fission, yeah, but also nuclear fusion. Yeah, nuclear fusion is a reaction in which two or more atomic nuclei are combined to form one or more different atomic nuclei and subatomic particles, hence the name, yeah, neutrons or protons, and the difference in mass between the reactants and products is manifested as either the release or absorption of energy. Yeah, so energy creating by having a nuclear fusion between two or more atomic nuclei. And that is their prime example, which is the sun. Wikipedia and science officially tell you that the sun is a main sequence star, and thus generates its energy by nuclear fusion of a hydrogen nuclei into helium. In its core, the sun fuses 500 million metric tons of hydrogen each second. So how to prove that? Well, I got a very simple idea, Brad. Maybe you can come up with the same idea. Or shall I take it on from here?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, this is the official explanation, that the sun is just a power plant. Yeah, if you would like to say so, a nuclear power plant. Yeah, because it creates nuclear fusion. Yeah, this is just all the, you see all this sunburst out of here is called the corona. Yeah. So this is the sun, allegedly. It looks not white, it looks not yellow, it looks a little bit orange, isn't it, Brad?
Yeah,
orange being the color of 33-degree Freemasonry, by the way. And nuclear fusion, yeah, it cannot be proven, yeah, unless you would like to have some so-called, and I will go into this also, radioactivity here. But if you would like to see that the scientific way, what they are actually here suggesting here, then it is a reactor on its own. And therefore it just creates huge amounts of energy. But I have a very decent question, and the question is why? And I can tell you why, and their explanation is, of course, that there must be something to it, because it has to create any energy to keep it running. Yeah, you see, there is no real perpetuum mobile. Yeah, so it must create, in a material sense, it must create its own energy to keep going or to keep shining. Yeah, that means that they also predict that the sun won't shine in million years of times, because then the energy has been wasted and there is nothing left to create any energy. And now you think of that, it's just a pure atomist material belief system. That, okay, you need one matter and you have another matter, and you have then a fusion between all these so-called nuclei, atomic and blah, 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 blah. Yeah? And so when that process is over in a few billions of years or what else, or millions of years, yeah, then the sun won't shine, it will be a dark star or whatsoever. And that is my problem with it. Yeah, because they claim that this is a nuclear reactor, because they only have their pure atomic or atom or atomistic model of explanation, which can only be without God. So that is their theology, is that it's just matter. And my concern is that I would like to compare that with the Bible, because science is the new and the old religion, Brad. So why don't you read the verses of the first chapter of Genesis 1, the verses 14, 15, and 16, please?
I will. And God said, "Let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for dates and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also.
Yeah, that's it. So what is the sun, according to the Bible?
Oh, it's the light of the day, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the light of the day, or the greater light to rule the day. Yeah, it's the greater light to rule the day. It does not speak about creating any energy, and it is necessary for the life on earth, and what else? It is just, in the Bible, it's just the light of the day. And by the way, the moon has its light on its own, the lesser light to rule the night. Yeah. So if it rules the night, the moon is ruling the night, then it's not dependent on the sun, huh? Yeah. The lesser light, he made two lights. He does not make one light and a mirror image of it. Yeah. He made two lights. Let there be lights in the firmament. And God made two great lights, so the moon has a light on its own. And many people who are really looking behind the curtain are really knowing that there is no dark side of the moon, and they know that the moon has its own light source, or creates its own light, so to speak. So the moon is a light, create is also incorrect, the moon is a light on its own. Yeah, so God made two great lights. He does not make two great lights, and one is also a power station. Also, when you consider the creation, including God, so not the atomists, but the creationists like us, then everything was being created by God. So by intelligence, and not by matter, by stupid matter. Matter can't create anything out of its own, so where does the matter come from? And even before there was a sun and the moon, there was light. Yeah, God said, let there be light, and God saw the light and divided it from the darkness, and he called the light day and the darkness he called night. So there was light. That means that light is independent from the sun or the moon, because the sun and the moon were created after the light, the day and the night and the darkness. Yeah, after the light and darkness, which then, of course, is then called here the day and the night. Yeah, so that is pure 100 degrees apart from the atomist theory that everything has been created out of matter. Matter can't create anything. So we know that the atomist theory is absolutely false. And therefore you can't go into nuclear fission and nuclear reaction, because first of all the assumption of the atoms is false. And atoms can be devised. There are quarks, there are now new theories coming up, and they're looking for the God's particle, smaller and getting smaller, like the old infamous Russian dolls. And that's my problem here. You see that the sun has been seen as a main sequence star, generates its energy. Great, as now the script has also crashed. And that is approaching the next problem of the so-called radiocarbon dating, which is also, of course, about their method of dating artifacts because of the half-life cycle of this carbon, radioactive isotope of carbon. So you have to believe that, because it just been originated out of this atomist theory also. Yeah, and I have many reasons that I don't believe in that, because you have a linear approach on that, and it's only about 5,730 years, the half-life span, and nobody knows what happens. And I think I have seen so many examples that it's absolutely not correct, and it's not precise also. But it's also that measurement of the radioactive isotope of carbon. So it's also referring to the atomist theory. And there's also much more to it, because they claim it will create some radioactive decay. And what is radioactive decay? It is explained on Wikipedia as radioactivity, radioactive disintegration or nuclear disintegration, the process in which an unstable atomic nucleus loses energy by radiation. Which is very interesting because there are certain parts or certain methods of radiation. This is alpha decay, beta decay, and gamma decay. It's of course from the Greeks. Weren't they atomists, Brett? Greeks? Yeah. So
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. So that is very interesting that everything occurred out of this atomist theory. And that's we could close the session now because it's just another belief system, because the entire world is afraid of radioactivity. And radioactivity, by the way, is absolutely wrong system or a wrong term on its own. Yeah, because radioactive just means for the average people that there is some hilarious thing happening that will lead them to be
contaminated. Yes,
contaminated. Yeah. Because it's very interesting, because we are doing so many sessions, I can combine some certain aspects. And in the first James Bond movie, we know that James Bond is the brainchild of a former British agent called Ian Fleming. And it's about James Bond and Dr. No. And Dr. No also means the educated one who's denying, so that can also be a meta phrase for Satan. And it's about radioactive decay here. If you really see that both and his girl are captured, and they are now being measured about radioisotopes. They are just being measured about if there is some radio decay left. Yeah. So the threat of being contaminated, is it correct, Brett? Contaminated,
yes.
Was imminent in the 1950s and 60s when there were just these atomic bombs and all the things. Then, and this is just Dr. No. And you see, this is just all about radiation here in the first James Bond movie even. And that led me to the interesting conclusion that there is something to it. Yeah, you see that science is not only the new religion. Science is a method of suppressing people with incomplete information. You see, it's this radiation zone. Yeah, and you have then, if in case of emergency, you have then to abandon the area. And of course, it's all about the global situation, and it's all about the globe to indoctrinate the people. Yeah, the globe is also, in my humble opinion, to indoctrinate the people to create a belief in so-called gravity. Because when you really think about a globe system or a global Earth, then you really have the need of a kind of a gravity system. And if you think about a spinning Earth, it creates so many problems here. But it's just about radiation and the atomic threat in the first James Bond movie even. Yeah. You see, it's just very prominent here. It is absolutely prominent. And it's also not, one thing is also very prominent. If you fix a globe on that apparatus here, and it's like also like Saturn, yeah, like one half of the ring of Saturn. Yeah, but it's just that my humble opinion here, reactor on. Yeah, so the reaction is out of control here, and now people will be contaminated. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting here. Also, it's about Mercury rockets who were then present in the United States Army or Navy Army, I don't know. But Mercury is also the same as Hermes, yeah, which means it's also about Roman, this is Roman here, Roman mythology, Mercury. Yeah, but of course, if you know that just America is not a free country, but it's just another enclave of Rome, then it all makes sense. But I just wanted to present you here that it's just about all the threat and all the things of radioactivity, which is also here imminent, and the official danger to threaten the world in the first James Bond movie. So let's get back to the script on science. Yeah. So we know that they do not play fair. Yeah, so they twist the words around by sophistry, And they will always limit information. That's also part of the novel of 1984 from George Orwell, who was a student of Aldous Huxley with Brave New World. And you see that everything has been mixed around. War is peace. Sure, you see that everything in the Antichrist system must be the opposite of what it's really been. So they're twisting everything around. It is just, of course, it's just blatant obvious, because Satan means the accuser or the opponent of God. Satan means the opponent. Yeah, so he's on the opposite position. Yeah? Freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Yeah, it's on the opposite side. Yeah, radioactivity and 1984. Yeah, George Orwell. And then it's very interesting if you really think about the terms, how they really try to control us with the atom power plants and the atomist theory. The atomic bomb, first recorded in 1940 in writings of A.G. Wells, the word is set free, who thought of it as a bomb that would continue to explode indefinitely. So that is actually the mind child or the brainchild of an author, H.G. Wells, who has very close ties with, I have to look it up, I think it was, wasn't it the Fabian Society?
Oh yeah, that could be.
H.G. Wells. Yeah, H.G. Wells, there it is. H.G. Wells, a British propaganda writer of Fabian Society, used by MI6 to make war, propaganda for Wellington House, etc. And, which is very interesting, look at this here, the open conspiracy, what are we to do with our lives? H.G. Wells, look at that symbol here, Freemason pyramid, Eye of Providence, and the New World Order from H.G. Wells. And that guy promoted an atomic bomb. If you really think that is a coincidence, I don't think so. This, the atomic age phrase, of course, is from 1945. Then allegedly there were 3 atomic bombs explosions. First, it was Trinity in the United States. Second, it was Hiroshima. Third was Nagasaki. Officially.
Michael, why would this come out in 1914?
You mean for the First World War? Or what?
Yeah, the Great War. Yeah, I tell you, just wow. Very interesting point there,
yeah,
Michael.
It's everything concerned here, and it's everywhere. It's even everywhere. Yeah, and that's why I stopped at that point here, and I said, oh, I have to continue on another page. It was at page 272. Then please pardon me, I have to skip a bit. Yeah, because that is all part of fear-mongering. Because you can't prove or disprove the theories of the so-called atomists. But we are not here to disprove their theories. They are there to prove their theories, which they can't. Because they are constantly searching, so their truth is relative. Yeah, first they said that atoms are indivisible parts, and then we realize, oh, there are subatomic parts, and there are even smaller parts, and they are now looking for even the control of the entire universe. And so fear-mongering is a tactic, a political tactic, to manipulate people by causing fear, rumors, and impending danger. And that is not only the case with the current situation in 2019 and following. It is just the Cold War, it's just the atom threat. Yeah, there are so many threats, and the dying forests, and the climate change, and all the things. It's just putting a threat. Yeah, so they are really putting, threat and danger.
And never mind the chemtrails, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like also Daisy here, the famous television commercial from Lyndon B. Johnson, which we talked about in our Kennedys or conspiracy sessions. To weaken and to influence, to manipulate people. Yeah, and the atom war, the atom threat has been used continuously to threaten the people. Fear-mongering is routinely used in psychological warfare of the purpose of influencing a target population. The tactics often involves the defamation of an enemy by means of smear campaigns and false flag attacks, etc. Yeah. This is state terrorism against the own inhabitants, against the own civilians. Yeah? If you switch on the television and they tell you that, oh yeah, there has been something terribly happened, and it didn't happen, this is just not only a lie, but it's just fear-mongering. Yeah? Yeah? So everything out there which is concerning to this atomist theory is fear-mongering. Yeah? This is the infamous Chernobyl reactor in the Soviet Union in the 1980s. Which has then spread some radioactive waste in a cloud of waste through Europe. Yeah? Fear-mongering on nuclear power is impeding the not existing planet because we are not moving. You see that it's very hard these days to get it really right, really correct. Yeah? But it's everywhere that people are being threatened by atom submarines, by atomic missiles, and there are just a bunch of atom powers who have veto rights in the United Nations, being the United States of America, being it Soviet Russia, be it China, India, France, and Great Britain, if I remember correctly. Yeah? So these are more powerful than others because they got their atomic weapons. Mm-hmm. So that is really a problem here, or a dilemma, that you can't prove their claims, and therefore they will use their fear upon you. Yeah? And many people think about Genesis 9:11, that there is something to it when it comes down to a nuclear war or nuclear annihilation of the earth. Would you like to read that, Brett?
Sure. Genesis 9:11 reads, "And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth."
Yeah, and therefore many people suggest that, oh yeah, there won't come any flood anymore, but there will come fire from heaven, and that means an atomic strike. But that's a wrong assumption, I would say, Brett, because it's not men who are the decisive force to destroy the earth.
Very interesting. Very interesting you bring that up, because fire can also be a, what can we say?
Consummation?
No, what do you call this? An allegory?
Mm-hmm.
It can mean something else, but it's said this way, like a parable. So it can have a different meaning, actually. So we have to be very patient, which is not that easy to do. And that's what makes the whole thing with Bible interpretation very tricky, actually. Because, look, if you say the wrong thing, you're in trouble. That's how it works. Right, Michael? With prophecy. We have to be very careful with prophecy. It's a very delicate thing. Because if we get it wrong, then we lead others astray. And then there's a bigger noose over your neck.
Yeah, but people really think that people have the ability to destroy the whole so-called planet. First of all, there is no planet to destroy. And second of all, I don't think that God, who is the creator, if you are really Bible-believing Christian, you won't think of the idea that men are enabled to destroy this earth. So it is fear-mongering that people are so potent, they are almighty to destroy the entire earth. This is blasphemy. It does not have any clues or any stand in the Bible that man will destroy the earth. Yeah, it's really, sometimes I really don't have a hard time, because you see that there are two sides. There is love from God and there is fear. But you see that, look at 1 John 4:18, Brad.
There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love. Is that the one, Michael?
Yeah, that's just an example. You see that if we really fear for any people that they will blow up the entire earth, we are not having faith in God. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, you can't trust God in being the creator of earth and then have fear in man that they will blow up everything. Yeah, I think that that is
right. It's also stated that the fear of man bringeth a snare.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is what you are looking to. Is just yeah, it's a kind of a religion that really they are so potent, they are almighty to blow up everything. Yeah, they will extensively tell you in the mass media that they are capable of destroying the earth so and so many times with all their nuclear arsenal of weapons. But is it? Are they? Yeah, are they? Because switch back. Yeah, because you have to train yourself that you don't fall for any lie. Yeah, it's the same that speed kills. Speed doesn't kill anybody. Yeah, it's a sudden impact, suddenly becoming stationary, and so you have to train yourself. Yeah, this is fear mongering. You see this on the left hand. You see this Iron Maiden album, 2 minutes to midnight. What does 2 minutes to midnight mean? Yeah, there is a Doomsday Clock. Yeah, showing or showed in the past 2 minutes to midnight as the time for the approximate time that we still have until the whole thing here will blow up. And this Doomsday Clock it's coming from the bulletin of the atomist science, and they say it's really unbelievable. They say humanity is threatened by two existential dangers. Both are reason enough for high concern and immediate attention. These two threats, nuclear weapons and climate change, were elevated last year by information warfare to undermine democracy around the world. The risks of these and other threats pose an extraordinary threat to the future. The same reasons from 2019, along with the escalation of the political situation as well as the advancement of climate change, had caused the bulletin to let time pass by 20 seconds. Thus, a new peak has been established. So, more fear. More fear. Yeah. Now it's only 100 seconds to midnight, which means midnight is the time when everything will blow up here. This is their so-called most important number in the world. Yeah, this is not only the Doomsday Clock, but this is also the climate clock now. Yeah, so we're running out of time, Brad.
I thought you were going to say the debt
clock.
Yeah. Why now? Yeah, why is this going on right now?
Because it suits the agenda.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you see, this is a real problem here. The bulletin politics of the atomist scientists. Yeah, that can you translate it to the lay people here? What the atomist scientists are, Brad?
Yeah, modern day sophists.
Yeah, the atomists.
Well, they're philosophers.
Yeah, they're philosophers. Yeah, they are purely believing only in matter.
So what is philosophy? Well, that's the main mechanism of the third empire called the Greek Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a method of the beast. And what was the Greek Empire? It was thighs of brass, was it?
Yeah, correct. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely correct. That's spot on.
So yeah, a lot to learn here, Michael.
Yeah, that's it. You see, that is just all fear-mongering.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, founded in 1945 by Albert Einstein. Would Albert Einstein ever lie to you? And the University of Chicago scientists who helped develop the first atomic weapons in the Manhattan Project. The bulletin of the atomist scientists created the Doomsday Clock 2 years later, using the imagery of apocalypse. Yeah. midnight and the contemporary idiom of nuclear explosion countdown to zero to convey threats to humanity and the planet. The Doomsday Clock is set every year by the Bulletin Science and Security Board in consultation with its board of sponsors, which includes 11 Nobel laureates. The clock has become a universally recognized indicator of the world's vulnerability to catastrophe from nuclear weapons, climate change, and disruptive technologies in other domains. In March 2022, the Science and Security Board released a new statement in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now we have only 100 seconds to midnight. Ooh, I think you are frightened to death. Aren't you? It's just fear-mongering. Everything which is concerned to atomic power plants, atomic weapons, and Doomsday Clock, yeah, you see that everything has to do with fear-mongering. Control the people.
Right, but it's the fear of man, whereas in the Bible you have the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Mm-hmm. Yes, so it's the opposite. Mm-hmm. And they're training us over and over and over. You must believe. Yes.
Yeah, you must obey the authorities, because they are scientists. These are the experts. Who are you?
No, but when you take a test, you have to properly answer the questions, don't you? Mm-hmm. So in other words, you have to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a religion.
It's a belief system. Yeah, sure. It is a religion. It's a pagan religion. This is about matter only. Yeah, this is one part of the pagan religion which they get their educating indoctrination in school concerning the Big Bang. Just matter comes out of pure matter. The evolution, matter comes out of pure matter, and then the atomists, matter is just matter, and it doesn't matter as long as one matter and the other matter are having a fusion, and then they create some kind of energy. Yeah, it's just a pure system without God. It's just a Luciferian indoctrination system. It's just like a global governance, and it's just like a worldwide curriculum. Yeah. This is just education, indoctrination.
Well, we could just simply say it's all philosophy.
Yeah, sure.
Really, it is.
Sure.
And you must believe it.
They can't.
You must have faith in it.
Yeah, they can't prove their Big Bang. Yeah, they say, oh yeah, there's a redshift and all this futile stuff. They can't prove their evolution theory. They can't prove their Big Bang. They can't prove their atomist theory. They can't prove anything. And they are then blaming others as so-called conspiracy nuts. Yeah, that's the problem, really, that they have the media on their side. Yeah, that's so that the majority of people are too lame to develop or too lame to...
all the institutions of the earth on their side. Mm-hmm. All of them. Yeah. None of them are going with the truth of the Bible, are they now? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Maybe a couple, but not many.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There might be a couple. Yeah, there might be. Doesn't seem like much, though, to me, Michael. I don't know about you, but
but that is the road.
2022, there's not much left.
Yeah, they're on the road to destruction. They're on the Broadway, and then they're on the road to hell. Yeah,
I can think of maybe one institution that has an idea of what true Protestantism is, and that's Breckview Bible College, where we have the notorious professor there, and his name escapes me at the moment. Michael, can you help me out with this? Our friend Daryl Eberhard is good buddies with.
I can't recall. Sorry.
The professor there. I just can't think of his name. Friends with Ian Paisley in the past. Yeah. Just can't think of his name at the moment. Yeah. And there's a lot of tracts that he's written, a lot of books. He's written a 2-volume set on the, I think it was the Antichrist. Let me go grab it quick, and then I can get his name.
Yeah, that's a problem here with the midnights and counting counterclockwise and all the fear-mongering. You see that people actually fear the atom bomb and all the things. So the atomic age, known as the atomic era, is the period of history following the detonation of the first nuclear weapon, the gadget. At the Trinity test in New Mexico. Yeah, Trinity test. Do you know what Trinity means? It's a pagan Trinity. So it's a belief in a pagan system. Of course, I know that there were 3 different atomic bombs, allegedly. But look at the inscription here on that obelisk. Yeah, Freemason, of course. No? Trinity site.
Black obelisk, yeah.
Yeah, where the world's first nuclear device was exploded on July 16th or so, 1945. So shortly after the World War II, except of Japan, had been finished. And this Trinity site also has something to do with a pagan god. It's Trinity obelisk. Yeah, because there's an engravement, and let's look it up what it indicates. Oppenheimer later recalled that while witnessing the explosion, he thought of a verse from a Hindu holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. If the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst at once into the sky, that would be like the splendor of the Mighty One. Years later, he would explain that another verse had also entered his head at the time of the first allegedly nuclear explosion. He said, "We knew the world would not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried, most people were silent." I remember the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu, the principal deity of Hinduism, supreme being, is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armored form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another. So he's claiming he thought about a Hindu holy book. Yeah, so pagan god once again. But if he says the destroyer of worlds, for me, Brett, it's a absolutely clear reference to 9/11 Apollyon in the book of Revelation.
Mm-hmm.
The angel of the bottomless pit. Yeah, that's Apollo
right.
or Apollyon. So what else to say that? Then it is just all an image of a pagan religion, pagan belief system, that people really think that mankind is omnipotent and be like gods, that they can destroy worlds. Yeah, like Vishnu. Yeah, like in the Bhagavad Gita that Oppenheimer just once stated. And there are many, many, many interesting documents, to say the least, that many, many, many things were actually faked. Yeah, because we were told that all this atomic nuclear tests and atomic weapon arsenal is just deadly. Yeah, that's just a claim from the military, and we know that the military does not tell us the truth, because the first victim in war is the truth. Yeah, so I came across this interesting document here. The Bikini Atoll nuclear tests were faked in 1946. Of course, it is a very far away island, so you don't have many spectators there. Yeah, so that is a very interesting thing, and you see that these are images of explosions out of the water. Yeah, so what convinces you that these are real atomic bombs, or that atomic bombs actually exist? Yeah, these can also be hydrogen bombs, or containing hydrogen in some certain amount of time. Yeah, so this is just a very interesting document here. We can do 100 sessions on an atom alone, but I would rather include that document in this description box of that video, that you can look it up for yourself. Yeah, so you see that would the government really put so many soldiers in imminent danger by exploding an atom bomb? Yeah. Nevada Trinity test films with the wind ripping across the sites just miles away. Yeah, and you see that they must have instantly been dead, huh? Those soldiers are said to be 6 miles from the blast, so the beach in atomic Bikini Atoll was about twice as close. Yeah, it's really interesting, but nobody dares to question the authorities, it seems. Yeah, you have to question everything. Otherwise, you really believe that speed kills. Yeah. Oh, the video is not there anymore. Oh, for whatever reasons, huh? Yeah, and that's my problem with it. You see that all the science stands to reason, and you have to question everything. And if you raise questions, then the majority of people, they get furious. Because you question their authority. You are questioning their authority. And they can't stand being questioned. Yeah? So, I will include this document here, and it looks very fancy. But you can also assume that they know what they are doing, and you can also think that maybe there are some cat involvements too. Yeah. So that means that you can't prove anything because everything can also be manipulated or been photoshopped. Meow. Yeah, really, sorry, but you see that they are coming up with so many pictures and you can have a composite. Yeah, remember the Zapruder movie. Yeah, everything can be faked. Sure, we are speaking about 1946 and not about 1963, but nevertheless. Yeah, that's really an interesting document, and it stands to question everything. You have to question everything. Yeah, you really have to question everything, and that is what we will do in the next upcoming session. We will question everything. We will question everything. You see, when we really know that the atomist idea of pure matter is just one thing which fits the official Luciferian narrative in excluding God, because he wants to play God himself, then you know that everything else is also being manipulated, and they can manipulate many things by modern means, especially. Yeah. Who convinces you that this is a real actual photo of 1946 or so? Yeah, you see or this one. Yeah, you see everything can be faked. Everything can be faked. And that's really, the problem with it. You see, they have almost unlimited means to fake and manipulate everything.
Yeah, all we need to do is remember what happened in moon landing, supposed moon landing.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all we need to do.
Yeah. Now you see that so many things in our modern day and age have a relation to atomists and atom ideas. It's, for example, the attack on September 11th, ground zero. Yeah, because from the Oxford dictionaries, ground zero means the point on the Earth's surface where a nuclear bomb explodes. So why on earth are they calling that place ground zero? And at the same time denying the explosion of an atomic bomb. Because official theory is that the planes and the fuel of the planes that caused the buildings could collapse. Imagine that, yeah? Naming that site ground zero, yeah, at the same time, which actually has the original meaning here from the Oxford's dictionary, nuclear bomb exploding location, yeah, and at the same time they tell you that has been happened, destroyed the huge Colossus towers by jet fuel, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Just kerosene, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Kerosene melted the skyscrapers. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I said here for that picture when they have now water basins there where the towers used to be, I said greetings to ISIS. Yeah.
And never mind the third tower that fell on 9/11. No one will ever talk about that in the media, of course.
Yeah, which had
Building
to fail.
7.
Which had to fail. Yeah, because it was building 7. It was Solomon building. It was Solomon's temple. Yeah, so the temple, of course, had also to crumble. Yeah, not only the pillars of the temple, which were the World Trade Center 1 and 2, but also the building 7, which was the temple itself. Sure, this is a religious area here. And now it is also a religious area of worship for the dead. This is necromancy here also. Yeah, I'm sorry for everybody
like the
who died.
triumphal arches in Rome. Yeah. Kind of the same idea, isn't it?
Yeah, so every tower which erects has a resemblance to the male reproductive organ, like Nimrod or Osiris, and every water basin, which is a depiction of a hole, of an opening, has a resemblance to the female reproduction organs, which has a resemblance then to Isis or Semiramis. Yeah, so that's what my intention was when I looked it up and I said, oh yeah, greetings to Isis. Yeah, it's the same water basin which stands in front of the so-called Washington Monument, which is an obelisk or Nimrod, and it's also a water basin which is at the Didi Plaza. Yeah, so it's all the symbolism here, and I won't fall for this atomist theory because it stands not the test of time. Yeah, there's other things to it. We will go into this quite soon. But also this Didi Plaza contains this water basin. I don't know if I got a decent picture of that here. Sure, of course not.
Oh, yeah, the one right by the obelisk, the reflecting.
Yeah, maybe we have to include the obelisk here. Obelisk. Yeah, this is the obelisk, and yeah, there you got it. No? You see that your water basin is Osiris, and this is Isis. Yeah, so Osiris is the phallus, and Isis is the basin. It's the female organ, and the water stands also for for life. Huh? What is it in English? Geburtswasser. Fruchtwasser, meine Güte. Fruchtwasser, Englisch. Inside the female womb. Fruchtwasser, English. What is it in English? Amniotic fluid. Is that correct?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Got me.
Fruchtwasser, yeah.
Never heard of it.
Amniotic, yeah. Fruchtwasser and Tester, yeah. Fruchtwasser.
What is amniotic?
Yeah, that's the water contained where you have swum when you were a fetus.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and that's depicted here in this water basin here.
Yeah, it doesn't compute with me, Michael. I'm not following you, but
You're not following me.
Well, no, I don't understand. Is that an occultic or
This is the female organ of Osiris in 14 segments that Isis was trying to recreate but could not find his phallus because it had been swollen either by a crocodile or by a fish. I can't remember.
Well, yeah, I know that. This is mythology.
This is mythology, and in the mythology, Isis is of course this is Osiris and this is Isis. So that Isis
male
means
and
that
female.
it's a water basin, and water is needed for creating life. Yeah, and so this is the female organ here, and this is a kind of fertility, and therefore it resembles the amniotic water as well. Yeah, that's it. And you see that from the atomist theory, again, you see that you can't name the World Trade Center Ground Zero without any atomic explosion first, huh? Yeah, so might be something involved which is like an atomic weapon, yeah, but it stands to question if there are atomic weapons. Yeah, also when Building 7, what Red mentioned here, Building 7 was being mentioned, the Solomon Building, Solomon Brothers. Yeah, and now of course they got a One World Trade Center, yeah, which is as above, pyramid upwards, as below, yeah. As above, so below is then this downward triangle within one complex, so One World Trade Center, everything in one, incorporated, and the antenna for the signals to the sky, Lucy in the sky. Maybe there's a diamond on top, I don't know. Yeah, the atomic age, yeah. Yeah, they actually are really making fun of us that we all believe their philosophic ideas. Yeah, because we will soon close that session, because in the next session we will go into every part of this fear-mongering from the governments. But look at that here. The first nuclear weapon, the gadget, so to speak, at the Trinity test in New Mexico. It is interesting because in 1901, Mr. Soddy and Mr. Rutherford discovered that radioactivity was part of the process by which atoms change from one kind to another, involving the release of energy. Hence, power plant. Soddy wrote in popular magazines that radioactivity was a potentially inexhaustible source of energy, and offered a vision of an atomic future where it would be possible to, quote, transform a desert continent, thaw the frozen poles, and make the whole earth one smiling Garden of Eden. But it has nothing to do with religion, huh? The promise of an atomic age with nuclear energy as the global utopian technology for the satisfaction of human needs has been a recurring theme ever since. But Soddy also saw that atomic energy could possibly be used to create terrible new weapons. In 1938, so quite before the Second World War was happening, Otto Hahn and his assistant Fritz Strassmann, they discovered the nuclear fission. Yeah. And therefore, it is very interesting that Germany did not have the resources, because it was fighting the war on different fronts in the East and in the West. And so many so-called scientists were passing to the United States. Then in May 1945, when the Second World War was over, and then in June 1945, they had the first Trinity test in New Mexico with the gadget. Now I have become the destroyer of words, famous words of famous remarks of Mr. Oppenheimer. Yeah, and so 1945 being a key year in this atomic age for the book, for example, of David Dietz, Atomic Energy in the Coming Era. Yeah, so they thought that that would be the solution of all the energy problems. Yeah, no energy crisis anymore. Yeah. So everything seems to have a bright future. Yeah. The phrase atomic age was coined by William L. Lawrence, a journalist at the New York Times, who became the official journalist for the Manhattan Project, which developed the first nuclear weapons. Yeah, you can imagine that the New York Times are being some kind of a left-wing influence organ. Yeah, he witnessed both the Trinity test and the bombing of Nagasaki, and went on to write a series of articles extolling the virtues of the new weapon. Yeah, of course, being almighty. Being almighty, that's what it counts. Yeah, and the atomic age, it's very hilarious, and maybe that's a funny ending of the session here. The view of downtown Las Vegas shows a mushroom cloud in the background. Scenes such as this were typical during the 1950s. In 51 to 62, the government conducted 100 atomic or atmospheric tests at a nearby Nevada test site. Yeah, they must be all dead now, huh? If I remember correctly, they have also detonated the Hiroshima atom bomb in the air. Yeah? So what is the difference between now the Nevada test site? Oh, we will go into this. The atomic bomb would render all conventional explosives obsolete, and nuclear power plants would do the same for power sources such as coal and oil. Well, where are we now, 70 years later? There was a general feeling that everything would use a nuclear power source of some sort in a positive and productive way, from irradiating food to preserve it to the development of nuclear medicine. Well, so far for the ideas, huh? Yeah, they have even nuclear concept cars, yeah, from Ford Motor Company. Ford being a 33-degree Freemason, and they have their own nuclear power plant on the trunk bread. Yeah, so much. And now you think when somebody comes up with an idea for the first time, many of these ideas will be garbage. And what does that tell you about the situation of 2019 then, huh? These are the great ideas of the future, yeah, and people are glad that they finally got the atomic car. Congratulations. Yeah, ground zero. Very zero to the ground here.
That looks like it won't steer to me, Michael.
Oh, maybe it does automatically. Nuclear-powered cars. Oh, really? I had a big laugh when I saw all of that, what my parents thought would be the future. My. The dawn of nuclear power was supposed to lead a limitless consumer culture, a world of flying cars bred. Fantasy soon faded. Doing so would mean every fender bender could result in a minor nuclear holocaust.
Right.
Yeah. Many designers assumed a lightweight shielding material, even force fields, would eventually be invented to protect passengers from harmful radiation. Analysis of the atomic car concept at the time determined that a 50-ton lead barrier would be necessary to prevent exposure. Yeah. Happy congratulations. Yeah. Oh my. Powered by lasers and salt has been suggested. Yeah. Everything is bright. Yeah. It's yeah. Then the term of radiator has a quite new meaning then, huh? Oh yeah, 1958.
Yeah.
50 kilowatt nuclear generator. Yeah, Fort Nuclear we saw. Yeah. The amount of lead and shielding needed to keep the DNA of the driver in good order would have made the car impossibly huge. Yeah. Henry Ford being a 33-degree Freemason, yeah, this is quite ground zero here. I don't know if that drives or if that floats, but come on, you have to have some good laughs from time to time with all the things that they even presented us in the past. I think that if you are in a government position, you really have no contact to ground zero anymore. Yeah.
Oh, you ever hear of George Jetson, Michael?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
That's what I think of when you show me that picture. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a rocket age. You see that Americans thought it was quite easy to go to the moon, yeah, because Kennedy promised that in 1961 or so, that we will go to the moon, not because it's easy, but it's hard. But because it's hard. Sure. Yeah. Sorry, but he was lying. Yeah. Ford's second atomic car entry was 1962. Yeah, that was before. NASA was founded in 1958. Yeah, that was quite in the middle of the Cold War here when Kennedy was reigning. It was an atomic car entry. Yeah, sure. What had Kennedy in mind when he said we will go to the moon? He did not know anything about space travel. He had to rely on his experts. Yeah, very fascinating. Yeah, Henry Ford receiving the 33-degree 1940. What do we expect, huh? What do we expect? These are all liars, deceivers. Palestine Lodge 357. Sovereign Great Commander 33-degree. Sublime Princess of the Royal Secret. Oh, it's all secret here. Yeah, that is 32-degree. That is the rank of Abraham Zapruder during his filming on the Dealey Plaza event. Yeah, this goes on and on and on. This goes on and on and on. Yeah, maybe we closed down with Back to the Future. It was one of my favorite movies. I think that you are familiar with that, Brett.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Back to the Future was a trilogy, or the trinity of movies, and depicting the Marty McFly, who was always suppressed by his evil schoolmates, and the bright inventor coming up with the time travel machine. And look it up, Out of Time. I really was so fond of this car that I stood before a DeLorean in a museum in Germany 15 or 20 years ago, and I thought about buying that car, and then I saw how miserable it was being worked together. There are so many, you could put a finger through the gaps of the door, huh? And I said, oh my. Yeah, but it was a fancy car, it was a fancy project, Out of Time. Yeah, you see that. Why do I mention that? Because it has something to do with the atomic age. Yeah? This is a flux capacitor for Mr. Fusion. Nuclear fusion, huh? Yeah, of course, it is so sophisticated that you use that printing labels here. Sure. Yeah, and that is a car which I find hilarious. but it is not Doc Emmett Brown, but it is a project allegedly of an ex-NASA electrical engineer based in Florida. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, and look it up. These people are very sophisticated. They're just doing their own deceptions, not contraptions, but deceptions, because it has to look as if it would work. But it does not work. There is no plutonic chamber. Yeah, this is just the homemade service. This is just DIY kind of stuff. Yeah, it does not work. But what actually is really interesting is the reference in here. You see, when you hit 80 miles an hour, it will activate the time travel mode. Why 8? Yeah, because 8 is the number of infinity. Yeah, so infinity Ouroboros, yeah, it's the number 8. 8 also the number of death in astrology. Yeah. But it's very interesting when you think about the circuits where you can input your destination time. When you hit 88 miles an hour, it will activate that mode. And usually, when you think about the real movie there, 88. Yeah, you see the 8 or the infinity symbol on the magician, on the tarot cards. Yeah, infinity symbol. There's also a speaker branch called himself Infinity. Back to the Future, Mr. Fusion. Yeah, it looks like a kitchen item or so, huh? Yeah, it's just Back to the Future, Mr. Fusion. Yeah, plutonium chamber. Yeah, so be aware of that. It is possibly that you have a nuclear holocaust, that some people say. Yeah. But look at the movie. At the movie, it's called November the 5th, 1955 is their destination time. Brett, does that remind you of something?
No, November 5th. Yes, it does actually. Yeah, the 5th of November. Yeah. You bet. And
what a coincidence, huh?
Yeah.
The gunpowder, right. Treason, and plot. Guy Fawkes to blow up.
You would need. What year though? You would need
1606
yeah.
or so. 1606.
Yeah, there you go, somewhere in there.
Yeah, the gunpowder plot. Yeah, all the people. Yeah, and this is 1605. Yeah, and this is part of the introduction of our conspiracy series here, the gunpowder plot. Yeah, remember the 5th of November. Yeah, and that is part of Back to the Future. They are all making fun of us, unless we realize that we have been fooled. Yeah. So that car does not run on a nuclear plant. That car does not fly. It is pure Hollywood fiction. The question is, how much on the atomic theory and atomic bombs and weapons is fiction, and what is fact? Yeah. The 5th of November, the gunpowder plot being one of these conspirators was a certain Guy Fawkes, which is also the same as the mask of Anonymous. Yeah? A collective and
anonymous, Michael.
Anonymous, yeah. A collective of hacktivists or activists. Yeah. Yeah, so these are not the good guys. Yeah, these guys have a mask for Guy Fawkes who blew up the parliament. Yeah, so these are terrorists, conspirators. Yeah, so Anonymous is a conspiracy. These are conspiracy theorists. It's nothing more, nothing left. You see that nobody knows, does not show their real identity.
They're Roman too. See?
Yeah, Roman too. Yeah, these are not only laurels here, but this is also a depiction of Kronos, because this is just also a symbol for harvest, and the god of harvest was Saturn with a sickle. Yeah, so it's also a symbol of Saturn ruling the world, or the globe, which is so much deception in it. Yeah, but of course, this is a secret service organization. Yeah, I doubt that these are private people. I think this is a secret service organization. Yeah, this is controlled opposition. Yeah? So this splitting of atoms has a magical grip on imaginations. You see that these people do not know how it works, and they are just crying out loud for that because they want to be almighty, and they have should want to have access for the atomic power. And so from there on it goes and goes and goes, and the hysteria and the joy and all the things about so-called winning the war in 1945 and all the atomic power at their disposal, that soon went away, and then they got in terror about any atomic threat. Hence the Lyndon B. Johnson trailer. Think of the Lyndon B. Johnson spot then. And so that people were then scared about radioactivity, fallout from debris, and radiation, and many things, until this very day. Yeah, until this very day. Chernobyl nuclear power plant can be seen on the horizon. Yeah, that was in Soviet Union. You also had a nuclear accident at 3 Mile Island. And I think I'm through with that. So I would like to end the session now, because my concentration is fading. But this is just the third session of the atom when it comes down to the fear-mongering about the misuse of atomic power into atomic weapons, etc., and all the threat of the bulletin and doomsday clocks and everything else. This is a program of fear-mongering. And we will go into that into this item in the next session with some examples also from the United States of America. So please support us, and thank you very much for spending your time on us, that you really see that you don't have to fear yourself, because according to the Bible we only have to fear God. And therefore I would like to hand it over to my beloved brother Brett. Thank you very much, and Maranatha.
Oh, thank you, Michael. So many things to consider here, in terms of the whole Manhattan Project kind of thinking of, we're talking about a military operation here. We're talking about compartmentalized information. And, of course, many of these programs are designed in such a way to never give you the truth. You have to be on the very tippy top of the whole hierarchy to be revealed the entire program and what its goal is. But if we look at this from a Jesuitical point of view, I think it becomes obvious that there are subtle things here that need to be closely looked after. And yes, I think that there is a lot of very questionable things. And yeah, Michael, I agree. We have to question everything here. And we can't just take it for granted unless we want to be deceived by this military. Do we want to be deceived by the military? I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a much better idea to let the Bible be our guide and let the Word of God sift this all out in the process. But yeah, Michael, I didn't take notes. There was something you were mentioning earlier on. I should have made a note of it because I can't recall right now. But yeah, I think these sessions are really, really long. I think that might be the problem with trying to retain all this information. It's really hard because we don't deal with this information every day. I'm dealing with simple mathematics and carpentry every day. So all of these complex different philosophies and different mathematics and things, they all do add up to something for sure. And the problem is what we've been presented on its face has been a very subtle deception, I believe. So we're just going further down that path and trying to get to a reasonable biblical explanation of that subtle deception. And I think, Michael, this takes a while. This isn't something that's going to be instant, obviously, with a script as big as this. And certainly, though, it's something we should all consider, how the enemy works and how he has put his fear above the fear of God, trying to put his fear above the fear of God, and succeeding in some ways, whether we like it or not. But that's the fact, because really we're still in a system of bondage, and there's all kinds of different factors that come into that bondage, and they all add up, don't they, in the end? And I think it's very important we stick to the biblical theme of let no man deceive you. Yeah, Proverbs, that's right. Proverbs, where do we got it here? The fear of man bringeth a snare, or just look up snare. That would probably do it. Yeah. How many instances do we have here? How about Proverbs? It's got to be in there. Fear of man. Yeah, Proverbs 29:25. 29:25. Yeah, the fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. So yeah, thank you, Michael. Thank you for the session. Thank you for the intense look at all of these different factors where they culminate into another deception. And that deception is to bring us again away from the Bible and back into the realm of the beast, and that is the philosophical realms and other realms as well. And ultimately, to defeat man, you have to be able to make him fearful of his opponent in the world and not in heaven, because his opponent in heaven is Satan. So if Satan can convince you that he doesn't exist, then guess what? You've been deceived. Just like, if you think that these photos are real, when obviously they're very, very convincing when you look at them, but we weren't there and we didn't witness it with our own eyes now, did we? So can we trust what we're seeing? That's the question. And I think the answer is that no, we can't trust what we're seeing. It's just like watching the television in 1969 and seeing a moon landing. It's fantasy.
Yeah, and Mars is now in Egypt.
Yeah, that's right. So thanks again, Michael. Looking forward to next time. Maranatha.